Hey everybody, Jason Burmis here, and it is official in the United States, and only in the United States so far, might I add, although you will see it in other nation states varying on their policies, and those policies are often going to be varied on how much the populace has fought back against mandates of the shots. And the two big players in big tech, don't worry, there'll be many, many more going in line, because the game plan right now is to have somebody like Fauci go along with CDC guidelines. And believe me, the FDA is going to approve these things. Okay, it's going to happen. And that's when there'll be less of a debate for the military, right? We already have the federal employees at the VA getting the mandates. We already have the New York employees getting the mandates or having to be tested weekly. And now Cuomo is going after businesses allowing people who don't have shots. Meanwhile, the CDC is recommending mask up for everybody again, and your children. So really what we're going to do here is we're going to show you the Facebook and Google News, and I'm going to reach out to you people that work there, okay? This is it. Number one, if they threaten to take your job, I would encourage you, because you should have autonomy and decision over what goes into your body, to sue them. And not just sue them for wrongful termination, sue them not only for wrongful termination, but the length of a very, very lucrative career there, on top of damages. And every single one of you needs to do this in a class action lawsuit together. And I understand that Google is a powerhouse. That Facebook is a powerhouse. That's number one. That's numero uno. Number two, okay, you need to blow the whistle on all the criminal activity going on within your companies. All the Orwellian, inside working with authoritarian governments in your companies. In fact, if you're in the signature reduction program in those two companies, folks, have a soul. Blow the whistle. Throw out some documents. Now is the time, because there's not going to be much time left. All right? You saw Bill de Blasio say, hey, the time for voluntary is over. And if you don't think that this zombie administration, Biden can barely speak. We're going to play this clip of him in this Fox News clip where, Peter Doocy isn't the best, but he's at least asking like the most obvious of questions in the press room, right? So we're going to play this like 3.5 minute Fox clip. But we're also going to go over how, there were people with souls over at Google a few years ago when they were working on AI for the drone program. And I want to point out that people like Matt Gaetz, okay, he decried it. And he went against those people. What Matt Gaetz doesn't get is that he's a pawn for the military-industrial complex that wants to continue to have autonomous drones that aren't just meant for terrorists overseas. We are the terrorists. So we're going to go over those stories as well. There's a lot to talk about. Thumbs the video up. Subscribe and share. We are riding dirty with 2 strikes over here. You know the drill. We got to reach people with cat videos. I love that you guys support me over here. So, let people know about the channel. This is also a great place to find all the documentaries for free. Loose Change, Final Cut, and Fabled Enemies. So important to understand 9/11. So important to understand 9/11. Okay? Invisible Empire, A New World Order Defined, and Shade the Motion Picture. Also extremely important films. But Rockfin. All sorts of exclusive videos. This is where we are uncensored. If we were to play something that perhaps Google wouldn't want me to say, and don't get me wrong, we're on the road to 30,000 here. They're not happy that I'm calling for whistleblowers, but against criminal activity, when you're breaking the law. Are you going to tell me Google, Alphabet, YouTube, you haven't ever broken the law? Never? You've never colluded illegally against the general populace with authoritarian governments ever? You've never worked to censor certain people with those authoritarian governments. You don't have government agents working inside your companies. Is that what you're telling me? You're not a techno-fascist institute? Eric Schmidt, longtime CEO, he wasn't part of the National Security Council. He wasn't also a steering member in the Bilderberg Group. Logan Act. I was calling for the Logan Act, but it would have meant something. Silly me. Silly me. So please, come on over, make the free account. It's another great way to support me. $9.99 a month. You get everybody's premium content. I try not to do a ton of premium, but like I said, we got a little sneak peek at the Unfit Statesman. That's premium right now. And again, so many videos. If it has uncensored or Rockfin exclusive, that is where you want to watch it, because that's just where the content is. I want to thank Odyssey for backing up my YouTube channel, because who knows, it couldn't be here tomorrow. They've taken it a couple times. We know how that goes. And then, of course, the GoFundMe. So let's get into it. The first thing I want to talk about is mandates. Now, I typed in mandate sign, okay? Let me X out the one I actually used in the thumb, as you can see. Take a look. What comes up? I didn't type in anything about COVID or, mask, anything. Look at just down the line. Down the line. The mandates are coming back, guys. They are coming, and they're coming for your kids. Make no mistake about it. Okay, and now they are not mandating masks, they are mandating vaccinations for all of these employees in the United States. Again, resist, sue, blow the whistle on the crimes. This is it, man. And to think that some people couldn't do it, I want to point out that back in 2018, we were talking again about these contracts with the Pentagon. All right, because I keep trying to explain to people again and again and again and again, Google is not like a publicly traded company. They are working in cahoots with NASA for quantum supremacy and artificial intelligence. All right, period. And NASA is that front for the military-industrial complex. Period. And it's not even debatable. Anybody who looks at that strategic initiative program in the 80s and thinks, wow, they failed and they never tried again. Like, what are you thinking? It's the most baseline of stuff. All right? So years ago, they've already achieved this quantum supremacy publicly. We've already had people resign. And then a year later, there was another 20,000 people that walked off the job. Well, I'm telling you now, guys, if the 20,000 of you that walked off the job because of this aren't ready to walk off the job for good and encourage your friends over there to do the same, I don't know what to tell you, because it's about that time. And, I'm going to play this piece because they're gearing you up. They're gearing you. Again, if you're on the East Coast right now or you're in California, you better believe they're going right back to what they want. And that way, they can do the same thing through like midterm elections, right? And guys, this is the takeover. This is the takeover. This is the takeover. Okay, that's all. That's all this is. Let's get into it. Let's make sure we didn't. Oh, of course. Again, look at that. Not available again, guys. I might have to replace that monitor. Who knows? Or maybe it's time to get a new rig. Here we go.
White House correspondent Peter Doocy starts us off tonight live on the North Lawn. Good evening, Peter.
Good evening, Brett. And for the first time since May, walking through the press room to get out here to the live shot position, everybody inside is wearing a mask. The vice president hosted an event late this afternoon. She kept a mask on the whole time. So did everybody else in the building, as new signs are going up inside the White House that say...
Those signs, huh? I mean, I didn't even show you like a quarter of what came up. Just again, I just typed in mandate sign. And don't think that those mandate signs with the masks don't change to a needle or an app with a QR code on it with your little passport. They're going for it. They got a zombie in office that can barely speak.
Masks are now required even for the fully vaccinated. That is to comply with this new CDC guidance.
This is not a decision that we or CDC have made lightly. This weighs heavily on me.
President Biden says more vaccinations and mask wearing in the areas most impacted by the Delta variant will enable us to avoid the kind of lockdowns, shutdowns, school closures, and disruptions we faced in 2020. Unlike 2020, we have both the scientific knowledge and the tools to prevent the spread of this disease. We are not going back to that. But he's still searching for ways to reach the unvaccinated.
Now, again, the man can barely speak. He can barely talk. Listen to him.
Those other 100 million people got vaccinated, we'd be in a very different world. So get vaccinated. If you haven't, you're not nearly as smart as I said you were.
You're not nearly as smart as I said you were. What are you talking about? Well, I don't get it. Like, you're not nearly as smart as I said you were. When are you saying anything, Joe?
If people who work for this country's largest employer, the federal government, aren't vaxxed, that may soon be required.
That's under consideration right now.
This map shows areas most immediately affected by today's masking update. Counties with substantial or high COVID-19 transmission.
Substantial is orange and high is red.
And when it's time to go back to school,
CDC recommends that everyone in K-12 schools wear a mask indoors, including teachers, staff, students, and visitors, regardless of vaccination status.
Regardless. They want to put masks on your kids again. And everybody was going, oh, well, the school year is almost over. You better get ready to fight for your children in those school board meetings, in those county board meetings. You better not allow them to go back to virtual anything and put them on the spot now. They're laying the groundwork, okay?
that's going to be a tough sell in some states.
I can tell you the folks back home are done with masks. If you've been vaccinated
Kansas
or you
Senator.
have the virus, I really don't see the science behind insisting people wear masks.
The CDC...
And imagine that. He mentioned that if you had the virus already, then what's going on? But most people just can't even talk about any type of natural immunity for some reason.
argues the vaccinated may not get sick, but they can spread.
Some vaccinated people infected with the Delta variant after vaccination may be contagious and spread the virus to others.
And with that, today's guidance represents another step backwards.
Why did the president say, if you've been fully vaccinated, you no longer need to wear a mask? Let me repeat.
If you are fully vaccinated, you no longer need to wear a mask.
If it was possible that that was going to turn out not to be true.
Well, Peter, I think we're all dealing with an evolving virus where there's no playbook and no historic precedent.
So we get to say and do whatever we want, whenever we want, because my name is Jen Psaki. I have no problem with full-on authoritarianism. That's my thing. I'm into it.
This new guidance amounts to the Biden administration realizing that unvaccinated people are still getting sick and then admitting that even if you got the shot and did everything else that they asked you to do since they took office 6 months ago so that someday you could ditch the mask, they don't think it was enough. Right?
What about the legality, Peter, for employers to require people, workers, to get vaccinated?
The Biden DOJ has looked at this. They think that is legal. The Office of Legal Counsel at the DOJ checked to see if these people who challenge vaccine mandates because the vaccines still are not FDA approved and use an emergency authorization can opt out and keep their jobs. And the DOJ's understanding of the Food, Drug, and Cosmetic Act is that such vaccine mandates are legal. Memos.
So there again, even if the FDA approved it, it's not legal. You should still be able to get an exemption because it's your own body. But I just want to point out, just because it's the law doesn't make it right. We've seen that historically. So guys, thumbs the video up. We didn't even get 100 thumbs up over on YouTube. And I'm reaching out to you one more time. One more time out there in YouTube world, in Facebook world. If you work for those platforms, I'm just saying, now is the time to blow the whistle on their criminal behavior. Now is it. blow the whistle on their criminal behavior, get into class action lawsuits together, and sue them for them daring to try to basically take your own humanity from you and tell you it is no longer yours. It is now a techno-fascist predator classes. Guys, you know the drill. Links are down below. Rockfin, 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 Rockfin. I'll see you on the flip side.